And so we need understanding of transactions in the spirit. Transactions. And not just transactions, but covenant transactions, in order to make a headway in life. There are powers on the face of the earth. There are spirits. There are entities that have their own primary agenda to ruin destinies. And the reason the devil wants to ruin destinies is because he has checked all of the chronicles of the spirit. There is no way you can hurt God except as you hurt men. The word God means self-existent one. He does not need anyone to be God, but every being in existence needs him to exist. But this mighty God, as mighty as he is, decided to choose men as his own inheritance. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 9, the Bible said, the Lord's heritage is his people. Israel, Jacob is his possession. So God decided to deliberately create a weakness in himself. And the weakness God created in himself was his love and affection for men. And so the devil have studied God for aeons. He was one of the cherubims that moved to and fro in the midst of the coals of fire. And so what that goes to mean is that he has capacity to stand before glory. You know, not every angel has the power to vibrate in the presence. It takes a lot of powers committed to you by God for you to be able to stand in the presence. Not every being in heaven can stand in the presence. When you go to the throne room, the creatures that are in close proximity with God are called elders. They are not elders because of time. There's no time there. So what he's talking about is not age oriented. Where they are called elders because they have ability to interact in realms of light. The places where they can stand, not every creature can come there. Because it takes powers to stand in the presence. It takes enormous powers. So the creatures that stand in the presence, God bestows powers on them. And so apart from the elders, there are also those who are called the four beasts or the four living creatures. So these beings are beings of mysteries. When you look upon them, the Bible said they had four faces. The face of a lion, the face of an eagle, the face of an ox, and the face of a man. All of these things represent dimensions. So it takes four dimensions for these beings to be able to stand in the presence. Because there is a dimension of God that appears. The ox can't withstand it, so they will switch to the eagle. Those are the secrets of God. There's a dimension of God that will appear. The eagle can't behold, so they will switch to the lion. There's a dimension of God that appears. The lion can't behold, they switch to the man. So for those beings to be able to stand, they needed four faces so that they can interact in a measure with glory. And apart from those creatures, there are other beings called principalities and powers. It is among them that will find those who command the angelic quadrant. And so you have amongst them archangels. Some of them are warriors. Some of them are keepers of secrets. And one of those archangels is called Gabriel. And when Gabriel appeared to Zacharias, he made a statement that almost confounded my theology. When Zacharias doubted him, Gabriel did not consult God. Gabriel passed a judgment. And the reason Gabriel had authority to pass judgment is that I am Gabriel that standeth in the presence of God. So it takes powers, it takes authority to stand in the presence of God. And so one of the princes that had the privilege of standing in the presence of God decided to rebel. And when he rebelled, he came down with 1/3 of the angels. Those are the beings that are battling with you and I. And so when we talk about warfare, it's not a joke. You are dealing with a creature that was walked in the presence of God. He knows the elders. He knows the 4 beasts. He knows the archangels. He was himself an archangel. And because he was doing business in the presence, he knows that Elohim has no weakness. We have lived in his presence for aeons. There is no weakness with Elohim. And so when he was judged, there was nothing he could do. He hated God. He wanted to fight God, but there was no basis. You couldn't attack this being. I was in the presence with the elders, with the 4 beasts, with the archangel. God has no weakness. Until after many aeons, he now discovered God embarked on a project. And God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. And the guy was watching. God has never created anything like himself. God has never created anything in his order. What is it that God wants with this man, this new creature? This one is not an elder. This one is not an archangel. This one is not a beast. What is it God wants to create? And when God announced it, he said, I want to create a being that bears my image. He said, God has decided to create something that can carry us into God. Before now, when we checked him, there was no weakness. If he wants to create something like him, then if we get that thing, we will get God. And true to his word, when he attacked man, the heart of God was broken. Because for the first time, the angels discovered that even God could have weakness. And the weakness of God was his love for man. And so when the man fell, God was pierced to the heart. God was frustrated. For the first time, the angels saw the weakness of God.